we are going to talk about chapters 6 through 11 of Matched. So we open up at chapter 6, and we learn about the outer provinces that Kai came from, and everyone's a little bit wary during this flashback because adoptions are very rare, and the Markhams adopted this kid, and they're like, what is going on, guys? Something is wrong. Even though something's really not wrong, they're just terrified of anything that's different. Markham's first son was murdered by a first-class anomaly, which is the worst kind of criminal you can be. The government felt bad for them, allegedly, so they gave them Kai to raise because they felt bad because their son was murdered. Cassia has a very good relationship with her parents. She talks about everything with them, and I guess that's the same for everyone in the society, but she also has a really good relationship with her grandfather. Cassia tells her grandfather about the mess up with her match, and he's understanding, and he's great. Kai is an aberration only because of his father. He is a good kid, and you shouldn't just hate him, okay, Mackenzie? Just because you love Cassia and Xander doesn't mean that you have to hate Kai, okay? Please think of this story as more than a love triangle, because it is so much more than that, and it's such a good book if you think about it in terms of society and culture. Cassia likes to be different. She chose the green dress, and she was really happy when she was the only one who wore it. Guess who's different? Kai is different. Cassie's grandfather is going to die soon. If you didn't pick up on that, that's what the final banquet is, and after the final banquet, everyone dies on their 80th birthday. Why is that? Kai works at the Nutrition Disposal Center, which is a really sucky job, and I feel kind of bad for him, because he wasn't put in this shit position in life. He was put there by circumstance and his parents. There is a flashback, and grandfather gets Cassia to swim in the pool because she's scared of jumping into the water, but then he gets her to. When they're talking about how he wants to protect Cassia, but then she's like, not always. He gets her to do things that she wouldn't normally do, which is great, because it's good to be adventurous sometimes. She has picked hiking for her summer leisure activity. His final banquet is tomorrow because it's his birthday, and then he will die. And next, Cassia thinks about how people used to die before the society happened, and you never knew when you were gonna die, and all these crazy things went into when you were gonna die and how you were gonna die. But now, you know, and everything is perfect about it, and then we're preserved, and so one day, when the society's technology is high enough, maybe they will bring you back. You believe that, guys. You go believe that. Cassia makes grandfather a present, which I think is kind of weird because he's gonna die, so why are you giving him a present if he's about to die? I don't know. But she makes him a letter, and she spent a lot of time on it, and she goes to the port and she copies and pastes already written words, which sucks because she loves words, and she should be able to make some of her own, but she can't. At the banquet, the committee comes, and they take a tissue sample from grandfather, because that is how you are preserved to be brought back one day. Oh, grandfather says, I'm having a perfect death so far, which is kind of funny in like that morbid way. In the society, that's an old world sense of humor, and the people of the society, like Cassie and her father, they don't find that funny at all, and they're just like, death, It is a law that people can't eat the food on the plate of the person whose final banquet it is. Think about that. Think about why that would be, because it is really interesting, and it reminds me of The Giver by Lois Lowry, which is fantastic. It is a happy death, which is an oxymoron, but it is. Grandfather knows that Cassia loves words and has her own in her head, and he's heard them, and he wants her to express them, and so he's kind of sad that she picked out the already made words. He wants her to trust her own words, and he opens the compact, which is her artifact. Inside, there's an old piece of paper. What is that? There are words on the paper. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. She can't read it because there's no time, because he's gonna die. Her grandfather dies, and it's kind of sad, and she's upset about it because she's close to him, which is understandable. Chapter 8 starts, and there's nothing fun for her and her friends to do. On Saturday night, they decide to see a movie about the society. Kai is there, and he hasn't been hanging out with them for a while because he has work, and sometimes he has to work late. Cassia says that his voice has music. She can't help but think about him a lot, even though Xander's right there. There's no reason to dislike him at all. Okay, Cassia is thinking about Kai and his eyes, and she wishes she knew more about him, which is is kind of dangerous because he's not her match. And now she starts keeping secrets from him, which is not a healthy relationship. Where the movie starts, Cassia is like, oh, why aren't I telling him these things? Why aren't I telling Xander what's going on with Kai and everything? And she rationalizes it. At the end of the movie, it shows these dramatic deaths, like the dramatic movie deaths. Xander and Cassia find it over dramatic and ridiculous, and they're laughing about it. And Cassia turns to Kai, and he's crying, really kind of heartbroken because he just blends in, shields himself from everything. Without that shield, he is a broken person. That kind of death is ridiculous because all they see is the type of death that her grandfather went through. That happens, and Kai saw it, which is really scary, especially in a world where that's unheard of. And that shows kind of that people in the heart of the society, they know nothing about what's happening in the outer provinces because some shit's going down in there. I had to move because boys from my school went to the football field, and I'm not gonna film around them. Next, Cassie is going hiking, which is exciting, and Kai is going hiking too. Cassie is really good at hiking. It's kind of a natural thing for her. She's so far ahead at one point, and she takes out the paper from her compact and she reads it, and it's a poem. It's not one of the 100 poems. It speaks to her, and she loves it. Realizes that it's not chosen for the 100 poems because it tells you to fight, which is everything that the society does not want you to do. They don't want you to fight, they just want you to submit. She gets to the top of the hill, and Kai's already there. And she wonders about Kai and his life, and he is interesting and intriguing, and she wants to know everything about him, which is dangerous because she's not matched to him. He knows that she lost someone, her grandfather, and he says that 80 years old in the outer provinces is harder to get to, and she's confused. He only knows her life in Aurea. He does not know anything about the world outside, which is kind of what the society wants. They just want inclusive with what's happening with them, because the society is handling everything everywhere else, supposedly. And Kai saw her reading the poem. He asks if he can help her. She's going to get rid of the poem by herself. It's dangerous. He wants to keep the words because they're beautiful. Something, when she gets home, is wrong in her neighborhood. Cassie's dad never turned in a teacher's note for her grandfather, and he had to get preservation. And her dad's getting a citation for losing it, which is like half of an infraction. She runs on the tracker, which is like a treadmill, and she thinks about how the society made everything basically perfect in everyone's lives. But is perfect the best way to live? She thinks about the green tablet because people take it when they need to be calmed down, and there's a lot of anxiety in her life right now. When she was younger, her grandfather told her that she can go without it. She's strong enough, so she doesn't take the green tablet. She's never taken it because she's strong enough to go without. Hiking is canceled the next day because it's raining, and Cassie goes to visit her dad at work. He has to get rid of the poem because it's legal, but she really, really, really doesn't want to. And she wishes she was able to write so she could write them down, but she can't. She goes to the train station, and guess who's there? Kai. Kai is just everywhere. She says that Kai is like a mirror because he reflects who the society is, and his eyes reflect the color of his clothes, and he is just a mirror, and he doesn't show who he really is. Her dad is restoring an old library, which really means he is destroying the unneeded literature. She lets the poem go in the wind to be destroyed. It's sad because now she doesn't have the words anymore, and she has them in her mind, but she's already kind of forgetting them. Lots of secrets, and she's keeping them from Xander. When she's with Xander, she can't help but think of Kai. You know she did the right thing in destroying the poem, but she still wants the words. It's not just a love triangle story. It is so much bigger than that. There's so much more depth to this book than that.